Well, Mike Bellamy, congratulations on being inducted into the COD Hall of Fame. It's an honor well-deserved by you. I think one of the things that makes you special and worthy of this type of award is what you not only brought to the community and what you did on the field, but also what you did off the field. Being a great teammate in all of your sports, I think, is one of the things that's important. But to be a Hall of Famer, you have to be special. You have to be able to have done something that very few other people have even accomplished or even dared to do, and you were able to do that. And that's one of the things that really makes you a special person, because like I always say, there are two types of people. They're the givers and the takers, and you're a giver, and by you being bestowed this great honor on you, I think that's one of the things that you really deserve, being a Hall of Famer. Congratulations. This is the part where I'm supposed to tell a personal story, Mike, but since we are roommates going back to college, we have the roommate clause. So there are very few stories that I can tell. But to me, this is one of the stories that I can tell that really kind of shows just who you are and the giver that you are. You were drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles, but you didn't want to go to Philly right away. You wanted to share that opportunity with your teammates and your classmates at the University of Illinois. So you didn't go right away. So you had gone to class because class was important, getting that degree was important to you, and I was still back at the apartment and got a telephone call from a very angry Buddy Ryan that you weren't on a plane already in Philadelphia. He told me a couple of choice words that I was supposed to repeat to you, but he told me, hey, you, Howard, you better go find Mike wherever he is on campus and tell him he needs to get his you-know-what on a plane and out to Philly. But the reason I think that was really an important story is that you really wanted to share. But like you would always say, hey, I got to get my education. I want to be here. And you finally got out to Philly, but it was on your own terms. One of the things that stood out to me when we were teammates at University of Illinois, and I'm sure the same thing happened when you were at COD, you wanted to work and you wanted to be the best and you wanted to contribute to your teammates, but not just being the best player on the team, but trying to be the best teammate. You really wanted to bring us all up. I remember our scout team football practice we used to have when we were red-shirted, and our scout team was pretty good, but you kind of set the tempo for us. You would take guys deep. We had a quarterback named Jeff George, and you guys really started to get a rapport with quarterback receiver, but you made things so hard on our secondary at that time. I learned, and others on that team learned that were on the scout team, that we've got to work as hard as we want to. I know everybody wants to play on Saturdays, but we provided a very important role for our team that went out and played, and that was getting them prepared, giving them the best look we possibly could give them, or giving them a better look than they would see on Saturday. And I know that's one of the things you did here. I know you were a big star and all, but still, you were a hard worker no matter whether you were on the first team or whether you were on the scout team, and that ultimately is one of the reasons you're being inducted. Mike, I know your entire family is very proud of this accomplishment. Your parents who are unable to be with us today to see you get this induction are really proud of it. I know it's a little heartbreaking that they're not here, but know that you did a great job and you really lived up to all of their expectations. Congratulations once again.
A top-notch two-sport athlete, Mike Bellamy helped coach Bob MacDougall's teams win 18 of 22 football games in 2 seasons at his wide receiver position, and he enjoyed an All-American season as a sophomore. On the track, he remained COD's school record holder in the 100 meters at 10.36 seconds, and as a member of the 4x100 relay. He completed his collegiate career at the University of Illinois, where he was a second-team All-American and a first-team All-Big Ten receiver in 1989. Bellamy was a second-round selection by the Philadelphia Eagles in the 1990 NFL Draft. He also played for the Indianapolis Colts, Chicago Bears, and Oakland Raiders. Currently, he's the wide receivers coach at Illinois. Please welcome Mike Bellamy to the stage.
I'm supposed to be the one that's not going to cry today, right? So we're going to try to handle this the best way possible. But how great is this right now? For my fellow inductees, this is pretty special, and I appreciate everything that has been done. I appreciate everything that's been said, everything that's been written, even though a lot of them are over-the-top stories that probably one day I'll say, yeah, I did score 15 touchdowns against Ohio State in that one game. But trust me, the things that my family and friends have said, I'm glad that they came from the heart, and I'm glad that honestly I'm here today in front of you all. But this is what dreams are made of. And the thing about it is, like Coach said, how do you get from 1969 to standing at this podium talking in front of people about your accomplishments and what people thought of you? And who am I to tell anybody not to dream? I didn't know the stories of Coach Otteson and his trailer and holding the stuff in the basement and all that stuff. I knew he was a great man who helped me accomplish my goals. But at the same time, who am I to tell anybody not to dream? I'm a kid from the south side of Chicago. I grew up in New York, and in my high school career, I won 3 football games. And at the same time, I was the 3rd wide receiver picked in the NFL draft. So who am I to tell anybody not to dream? And one of the things that, became prevalent is that after I had a successful high school career, which I kind of got bribed into running track my high school senior year, because it was important to the high school track coach, who was that vice principal, is also the principal. There was something to it for me running track, I'll tell you that. So I ran track, and I had a great high school career my senior year. And for me, I didn't understand the equivalency of commitment, the equivalency of being a good teammate, and the equivalency of being a good person until those 2 years, my senior year in high school. But I'll always carry those memories of failure today with me. I'll always carry those memories of teammates I had in high school. And I went to a high school game on Friday and saw my high school alma mater team play on Thursday, And I told the kids a story about 2 offensive linemen that were playing with me. And at the 3rd quarter of the game, they got off the field and walked into the stands and sat there with their equipment on and quit on me. And I never understood why. And I told myself this, and I was telling Coach MacDougall earlier, that the reason why I would never get into coaching was because I don't deal with mediocrity or complacency too well. And I don't deal with it with my kids. And my son will walk in the door right now, he'll take his hat off because he's inside of a building. And those are the things that became prevalent to me in my teaching. And that's when I realized that this might be something I wanted to do. But again, if you have never failed, you'll never be able to succeed. So I've seen failure, but I've seen success. I've been at the top and I've been at the bottom. But that's part of my story. That's my journey, and that's why I'm here today, because I've seen failure and I've seen success. And one of the things I've done is that, my first year at College of DuPage, when we failed, I was going to make sure that we weren't going to fail again, so we saw success. When I got to the College of DuPage and saw Coach Otteson, I'll never forget this, and I'm jumping around right now just because every time I keep looking at him, I keep remembering the first meeting. And I was projected to win the national championship in the 60-meter, and I was hanging out with my friends and hanging out with a couple. My roommate was a basketball player, and we were playing basketball, and it was like 9 o'clock at night, and I stepped on somebody's foot and sprained my ankle. And the phone call I couldn't make was to him, because it wasn't about him, it was about me for him. And so that was the challenge I had, to share a disappointment that I was about to bestow on somebody from information that I might not be able to accomplish a goal that he had for me. So that's the biggest thing, I go about. So thank God for me being here today. Without him, without my support, I want to thank, the great College of DuPage of yesterday, because all the history that I've just learned from these coaches about the yesterday of College of DuPage, and to be able to be out there yesterday and talk to the team and see all the changes is unbelievable. To see the things that have been done, the football fields named after the coaches, the track facilities named after coaches. I just want a brick somewhere that has my name on it. It's just somewhere. But again, I'll always carry those memories with me. Thank the Jane and the Athletic Hall of Fame committee for having me here. I think it was phenomenal experience. They keep on thanking me, but I got the trophy. They just got all the work to do. So, I thank them for that. Thanks for Coach Foster for keeping me abreast of everything that's going on. I think it's very important, the hard work that they kept on telling me, well, can you make it? You have a bye week, and if we would have played, if this was next week, I might have missed a game next week to be here, because it was that important to me. I'll always carry the memories with me. To the fellow recipients, Coach Otteson, Jamie, Chrissy, Jason, and Al, I was speaking to Jamie outside, and she asked when I went to school here, and I said, 86 to 88, and she said, you went here in the glory days. And to me, you couldn't have told me back then that College of DuPage was not part of the Big Ten. You couldn't have told me that, because when we competed in the track meets against Purdue and Indiana and Illinois, and I don't say compete, when we beat them, you couldn't tell me that we weren't part of the Big Ten. And when we played football, and the first year I walked into the locker room, you got guys who were talking to Ohio State. My sophomore year, we had 14 guys get Division I scholarships. So I'm playing against guys who I played with, and that's what this college is about. So the history about that. Back in the days, of course, I had no idea what was going on here, because I never heard of College of DuPage. I was South Side of Chicago, so there were certain areas I didn't go, and I didn't come to the suburbs because I was from the South Side of Chicago. So I didn't know about College of DuPage. I thank my wife and family. My wife, we've been together for 22 years. A lot of the stuff that's happening to me now, she had no idea. She knew I was a former football player, and she thought everything I said was a lie. So, but now all of a sudden, all the fame and the acknowledgement I'm getting, they're benefiting from it. This was a choice that we had to make, and my sister-in-law is getting married, so it was like, who was going to be the sacrificial lamb and not have their support there? But that's a surprise, so, kudos to them. I'll never walk alone, so I'm not alone. My family is always with me. My memories are always with me. My kids, Mikey, McCoy, and McKenna, they're the reasons I roll forward, and I'm going to give them memories to remember. I'm going to give them history, and they'll know this, and I've been videotaping everybody, and they'll get it. My daughter asked me to FaceTime her while I was speaking, and I didn't know how I was going to do it, so I hope I get the video and see if she figured this out. To my Bellamy family who watched me play stickball in the streets of the Bronx, to today where they come to my games and watch me coach, they're my support. To my father who proved to me that sports plays no favorite. My Pee Wee League, well, not my Pee Wee, my Little League baseball game, championship game when I was living in Cincinnati, we were pretty good, and my father just happened to be the umpire at that game. And so, as the story goes, I was pretty good at baseball, and I was running around, and here come third base, and I slide in, and I promise you I was safe. There was no doubt. And there's my father standing there, and he has the nerve to put his thumb up and call me out. Now, my mother didn't talk to him for about 2 weeks. But 2 weeks later, I did find out from my grandmother that my grandfather called my father out in his Little League baseball game when he was young, but they called him out on strike, so at least I swung the bat, is what I tell everybody. So, yeah, and like Howard said, my father had passed when I was 26 years old during my professional career. My mom, who passed 2 months, my mom who passed in March last year from cancer, the last time we spoke, she was battling cancer, and she said to me, Mikey, I'm proud of you. And that was tough for me because that was probably the most time I spent with my mother in about 25 years, and she came to stay with me in Ohio for 3 months, and I watched her fight cancer. And the last words she said to me is, I'm proud of you. So I know I'm doing okay, and that was one of the big things. She's the one who dropped me off to Coach Otteson, and I came in there with Pete Austin, and I'm going to go into that story. But those are the things that my mother did. She made sure that who she dropped me off with was going to take care of me. So I carry those memories with me. To my College of DuPage roommates, Ed Anderson, Walter Glass, and the late Ronnie Westmoreland, Coach Class, I know some stories about you because I had 2 basketball players as my roommates. So, I respect everything you do. And it was not your fault that I sprained my ankle, but it was on your basketball court, so I'll let you know that. And Ronnie Westmoreland he was my best friend from Indianapolis, and he taught me it was fun it was okay to have fun dreaming. He was a kid from Indianapolis, and he was smiling all the time, and he was at every one of my track meets, and he was excited for my success more than for his success. He went to Illinois State, and I remember after I got drafted, I was living in Chicago, and I was sitting there, and I got a phone call from one of my roommates from Illinois and told me Ronnie had got shot. And that just like blew my world, because I had just finished talking to him, and I was just supposed to see him. So he was the one who showed me the good things about being a good teammate and a good friend. To my track teammates, Mike Wright, Tom, it's unbelievable. Mike, it's unbelievable the people that you meet through these sports and athletic opportunities. To my football teammates, Gene Benhart, Tommy Minnick, and there's a few names, and just in case the video gets out and I don't mention the names, I thought about you, and I'm gonna say the tape got cut off and they told me to cut it, so I forgot your name. Ron and Jay Clark, Steve Caney, Jerry Blue. When I came into Coach MacDougall's office, he didn't know what position I was going to play, and then he threw me over there with the receivers, and Jerry Blue and Steve Caney accepted me, even though I was competition. And I talk to Steve Caney to this day. It's the relationships that you build, and a lot of times it's it's hard to be happy for somebody and not envious them at the same time. But those guys were, genuinely happy for me. Buck Small, George Hawthorne, Frank Hittle, Jerry Gerber, who calls me about Michigan all the time, and I tell him, don't talk to me about Michigan. I'm an Illinois guy, but that he still talks to me about Michigan. Jay Schmidt, Ron Selvage, Ron Foskis, Jimmy Will, Darrell Simmons, Al Ellis, Kramer, and I guess this is what you're supposed to do at awards, mention everybody's name, so that's what I'm doing. Coach Funston, Coach Gary Campana called me. He was my first wide receiver coach, so he'll probably tell the story that he taught me how to play wide receiver, because I never played wide receiver until I got to DuPage, and so he'll tell you that he was my wide receiver coach who made me who I am, so I'll give him that credit, and it's on video, so he's won that. So Coach Campana, I appreciate everything you've done. Coach Roman, who was our defense coordinator, phenomenal man. I played in the World League over in Germany one year, and he was over there, and he came to see me, and that's what it's about. And to me, you are the people you surround yourself with, and that had to be learned from, Coach MacDougall, because, they were guys, and, so he came over there to check on me, make sure I was okay. Coach Otteson. Okay. All right, here I go. All right. You might have been more excited for me than I was for you that you think. But when I came into your office and I saw the excitement, because, I was a big track star, and I just finished track, and I could see it, and you were like trying to figure how we're going to work this out. But you put your arm around me and you nurtured me and taught me to be the track guy that I was. But I think more than that, you taught me to be a great person. And so when you came down and, your son's a former Illini or a fellow Illini of mine, there was no problem of me sitting down and spending a tailgate with you for an hour. That's what family does. So understand that. This is not what I have to do. This is what I get to do. And I got to spend time with you. So I appreciate that. And so it had nothing to do with, let me go sit over there and do some political. No. That's what family does. And so I appreciate everything you've done. I appreciate you didn't tell me how mad you were that I sprayed my ankle, and you made sure I was icing it, and, and we were down there and all that stuff. But I appreciate everything you've done. So the tailgate was a part of who we are. And, yes, you can get tickets whenever you want. So don't worry about that. Coming out of high school, like I said, I only won 3 games, and I wasn't smart enough to make sure that academics was important. So the challenge of me getting a full academic education from Illinois was my mistake. And so when I talked to the coach, my mother drove me from Southside to Glen Ellen, and we tried to find a college at DuPage. I couldn't find it. It was somewhere around here, so we ended up finding it. And remember, I won 3 games. Coach Otteson took me into the office to see Coach MacDougall. He knew who I was, but he didn't. And I'll never forget it. He had no clue who I was. And when I walked over to the office, Coach Otteson walked me in there, introduced me. I think Coach Roman was in there, and I remember walking back out, and I could hear Coach MacDougall say, who is this skinny kid and what are we going to do with him? I remember that. And do you think he can help us? And my thing is this, is I thank you for taking a chance. I thank you. I thank you for keeping me away from Coach Roman, because I think we worked out right, okay? You called me when I committed to Illinois, and you congratulated me, even though you were a Michigan State guy. Even though that every day for 3 weeks, and I don't think we can get in trouble for this now, but every day there was a guy from Michigan State there, every day. And they talked to me and called me because they felt that I would fit Michigan State. But at that time, I was an Illinois guy, and I was going to stay to my commitment. And the thing that you committed to me was that you would always be there. When I committed to Illinois, you was there, you called me. When I signed with the Philadelphia Eagles, you called me. When I got inducted to the National Junior College Hall of Fame, you called me. When I got the job at Illinois coaching, remember, I think I called you first, and I told you I was going to get into coaching, and you said, "Are you sure?" And when you said that, I was like, there's got to be something to this. And you said, "Are you sure?" And you said, "Make sure you're sure." And I'm sure. And the thing that I'm sure about is that I appreciate everything that you've done. When I took the job, you told me to come meet you for lunch. And I sat there, and you told me everything that I needed to do to make sure Illinois is back where Illinois needs to be. And I appreciate that, because that was for me. It wasn't for Illinois, and I understood that. I picked your brain about everything. Then you called me in February. In these conversations, you would talk 45 minutes. I would listen for 10. I would talk for 10. And I did a good job listening, correct? So, but now, then you called me the other day and congratulated me on this honor, and I talked for 45 minutes, and you talked for 10. So I learned very well from you. So the thing about it is I'm thankful of all these memories from these two great men. I had a great opportunity to talk to the team yesterday, and I'll tell you what I told them. Just like I said, I don't walk alone. I walk with the memories of what I've learned from Coach Otteson, from Coach MacDougall, from my teammates, from the College of DuPage, from Coach Class, and everybody that's ever been walked my path. I carry them with me. My wife and kids are not here, but I carry them with me. My mother and father are not here, but I carry them with me. And I told the team yesterday, carry me with you. Carry me, whatever you do, because I'm always going to be a chaparral. You can't take that away from me. Carry me with you, and I'll carry you with me. When I go out recruiting, whatever school I've been at in the last 10 years, the first 2 schools I call to ask them if they got players are Kenwood Academy and College of DuPage, hands down. And I always do that because I know there's going to be special people coming through those doors. So one of the things I told those players is never let anyone who can't control your success, and never let anybody who can't control your happiness. This is what you get to do. This ain't what you got to do. And one of the things I want to say is thank you very much. I thank you for all this appreciation and all this acknowledgement. Thank you to the College of DuPage. Thank you for my fellow recipients. Thank you for the men in my life that has made a difference. And thank you again for this honor. I appreciate everything you've done. Thank you.